All right. In defense of Luke, I walk around barefoot some here too. So in my office and going from running around the staff room. Normally I'm in flip flops and sometimes it's easy to do. So I'm just giving him a hard time. Thanks for coming out. Off to a good start on our Tennessee prep this week with practice this morning. Injury wise, we're in pretty good shape. Everybody that I talked about on the conference call or the teleconference on Sunday night, we're optimistic we'll be able to play. So keeping our fingers crossed on that as well. Again, just reiterating some stuff that I said the other night. Proud of our guys, the way we played and the effort we played with, and on Saturday. We've certainly got to be better at finishing drives offensively. Like I mentioned Sunday night, we had 6 different possessions where at some point on Saturday against Troy, we had a 1st and 10 on the 48 or 45 yard line going in, from the 40-something yard line to the 30. We had some of the 20s. We had one on the 5. 6 different possessions, 1st and 10 on plus territory, and we got 9 points out of it. So we've certainly got to be better at finishing drives. We did some better things offensively, and certainly got to make great improvement this week as well. But had a lot of different opportunities to win that game and put it away, and kept letting Troy hang around, which credit them for that. But really proud of the way our guys finished the game and continue to find ways to win when it's not always pretty. Winning is hard, and certainly we are proud of the way we finished the game on Saturday. Offense, defense, special teams, like I talked about. Field goal at the end of the game to ice it or make it a 2-score game. Defense, getting a stop at the end and turnover to give us the ball, and then the offense driving 6 or 7 minutes or driving the ball down the field, taking 6 or 7 minutes off the clock to kick a field goal. Going to Knoxville this weekend, going back to a place where I have great memories of, a proud graduate of their sport management program, led by Buck Jones at the time and Dr. Rob Harden, who is still there, I think, running their sport management program. So I have a master's degree from Tennessee and great memories there from my time working for Philip Fulmer as a graduate assistant and working for John Chavis when he was the defensive coordinator, working for Coach Adkins when he was on the staff and I was a graduate assistant working with Sat and had a really good experience there. I learned a lot of football from Coach Fulmer in my time and made a lot of great friends. I was thinking about it the other day. It's pretty neat just thinking back all the people that were in that same sport management graduate program at the time. Obviously, Sat was there with me. John Curry, who's the athletic director at Wake Forest. John was working in the athletic department but was working on his master's. So I was taking classes with John. Eric Conkle, the head basketball coach at Louisiana Tech. Matt McMahon, the head basketball coach at Murray State. Kathy Becker, who's in charge of track operations up at Clemson. So there's a lot of people. I'm sure I'm forgetting some people, but had a good time and made a lot of great friends. I'm trying to do my part. Those are some successful coaches and athletic directors, so I'm trying to do my part to not bring them down, the people that were in grad school there at the same time, and big challenge to hold up my end of the bargain. But got some great friends still in Knoxville, great friends still in the athletic department, great friends still in that football program. Was looking on Tennessee's website the other day, and it's remarkable how many people are still there from the equipment room. We've got some great friends there to some of the administrative assistants in the football office and whatnot as well. So neat place. Looking forward to playing in Knoxville Saturday, and got a big challenge on our hands. Obviously a first-year staff like we are, but you see them continue to get better each and every week on all 3 phases. Offensively, we got to do a great job of handling their tempo. They certainly try and run a lot of plays, and people think tempo, they're throwing the ball all over the place, and that's not the case. They want to run the football, and that was very evident against Missouri last weekend. No one is running the ball more in the SEC than what Tennessee is. They lead the conference in rushing attempts, and they run the quarterback, who's a load back there in Hooker. They run the running backs. They got talented backs, and they're a challenge offensively because of how well they run the football and their tempo, and they're getting better and better. Defensively, really, really playing hard. That's obvious. They've got a system. They believe in what they do, and those guys, the young men in that on that defense. It's obvious they believe in it, and the way they play, they're talented up front, and got some experienced guys in the secondary. And then special teams wise, they're playing with great effort. That's the thing that jumps off on tape. They blocked a punt for a touchdown against Pittsburgh. Dynamic punt returner and kickoff returner, and number one, the receiver. He's somebody that we got to account for at all times when we are kicking the football. One person very rarely brings him down. He is a load back there, so we got to do a great job from that standpoint. And they got some great players. I don't know what the issues were at Tennessee in the past necessarily with the previous staff, but recruiting wasn't one of them. I know they've had some attrition in the transfer portal, but they got a lot of really great players that are still there, and it'll be a big challenge for us to see if we can get better this week and go play better on the road than what we did last time we had an away game over in Athens. But our guys are excited to go compete and looking forward to being in Knoxville Saturday afternoon and back in SEC play. So be glad to answer any questions with that.
Shane, when you look back at the offense the past 5 weeks, the running game really started to break loose in the second half last week, but particularly with the inside zone, runs up the middle, just what has been the problem there about trying to get that on track early and getting it on track for good?
Yeah, certainly we have to be able to do that. Against Kentucky, there's a 380-pound nose tackle that is hard to move. That would be one thing with them. Troy built a little bit differently, and a couple times on some zone plays, their linebackers do a great job of Troy's, fitting it and coming off when they say a double team coming off, and we got to be better with our eyes and coming off the second level of blocks. And really, David, it's sustaining blocks and just finishing plays and straining to finish and keep your head in the right hat placement and not give up a gap and things like that. So every week is different, and like I've been saying with the run game all along, it's a combination of things. Whether you're running counter schemes, gap schemes, outside zone, inside zone, pin and pull, it's a host of things. And running the ball inside and up the middle is no different. But we got, Vershawn Lee was our player of the game, talented guard. Eric Douglas is a leader on this offense at center. Javon Gwynn's leader of this offense at guard. And, we trust those guys on the interior. We've got to be able to run the ball downhill and move people, but also put together a scheme each week that gives those young men a chance to be successful.
Shane, you obviously mentioned in the teleconference and then today just about the offense not being able to finish drives. When you look back at that tape, was there a key thing that you noticed when the team got across midfield, and how much will Lukey using his legs kind of help maybe with some of the efficiency stuff and extending plays? And
I think Luke's got to use his legs no matter where we are on the field, coming out, midfield, going in, goal line. And don't misconstrue that to say that we need him running every snap. But if they have everything covered, he's a weapon that is hard for people to bring down as well, because he's such a good athlete. So he needs to be able to use those feet. And then as far as the drives, I think it's a combination of things, whether it be a drop, a route that's not quite what we want, from a details standpoint. One of the drives, it was a false start and then a holding penalty, I think, back-to-back, that took us out. A combination of things. I don't think there's any one thing that you pin it on, and give Troy some credit, for that as well. And don't get me wrong, we've got I'm not complaining about being able to kick in field goals down there, because I think we're like third or fourth in the SEC in red zone offense, because we're at least getting points, knock on wood, when we're down there. But we need to make those touchdowns as well. We need to be able to score touchdowns this week and not kick field goals, if we get down there in that territory. And we're glad we got Parker White, but I'd rather Parker White be jogging out there to kick an extra point than jogging out there to kick field goals.
Shane, with you and Coach Heupel coming in the same offseason, and both programs apparently coming off a similar 2020, there's probably going to be a lot of comparisons of the two programs, not just this year, but in the next few years. You think that's a fair comparison?
Yeah, probably. You guys, that's better for you guys, but certainly similar programs. Both didn't have years last year that they wanted to have. Both programs were, affected by attrition, people leaving the transfer portal. Obviously, they've got 2 guys that would be on their offense right now that are playing at Oklahoma, and they've got 1 guy on their defense that's starting at Alabama, I guess. And the same could be said for us with some people that left this program. We've certainly been aided by additions to our program from the transfer portal, and so have they. I mean, they lost some good players in it, but man, they've added some really good players as well. So it's probably a fair comparison, but I'm sure Coach Heupel would say the same thing that I'm saying. I mean, I'm not worried about competing necessarily with Tennessee 365 days a year. We're trying to do what we can do to make our program the very best that it can be. Day in, day out, and we're all chasing the same goal, and that's to be playing in Atlanta one day for the SEC championship, and they're working hard just like we are to get that done.
When it comes to throwing the ball down the field, because you mentioned it after the game on Saturday, with the quarterback, is there more to it than just dropping back and throwing it as far as he can? Like, what are some of the, I guess, details that come with that type of play?
Yeah, it's more to it than just dropping back and throwing it. I mean, certainly there's a timing element involved. Each quarterback's arm strength is different. It's from a wide receiver standpoint, what is the technique that defensive back is playing against you? Is he pressed up in your face, and now you've got to work a release at the line of scrimmage, and the quarterback's got to understand that and then throw it and catch it? Or is the defensive back playing 7 or 8 yards off, and you've got to be able to drive off and attack his cushion and then win and throw the ball downfield? Is the defensive back, do you have him beat, and now it's going to be a throw on with timing, to try and hit you in stride? Is the defensive back playing on top of you, and now you're working in some of your back shoulder throws and things like that where you're throwing it a little bit behind the receiver? What is the coverage? Are they playing 2 deep? Are they playing 3 deep? So certainly there's times where, yes, it's pretty obvious it's man-to-man coverage and there's nobody else out there, and you're just going to drop back and throw it. But then there's lots of times where, based on the coverage, that route could be a little bit different that the receiver's running. And then some of the ones we threw downfield the other day were, off some max protection and double moves and play action, deep shots and things like that as well, where there's timing and depth of the route and everything involved. So, there's a lot more to it than that, and we've certainly got to be better. Our timing has been off on some deep throws. Like, the one that comes to mind, I think, is the second play of the game. We motioned Jaheim out over there towards Troy's sideline and had him one-on-one against a safety, and communication / timing / details between Luke and Jaheim wasn't quite what we wanted on that one. So we're still a little bit rusty, but then at the same time we've hit some really impressive deep throws also. East Carolina comes to mind where Zeb hit I think it was Van down the left sideline, and Georgia comes to mind with some of our guys. So it's a work in progress, but certainly there's a lot of details that go into it also. Excuse me.
Shane, I don't want to make any assumptions, but with Luke going down and trying to be able to continue to get that confidence back now in his foot after having maybe 2 or 3 starts now, or police played in 2 or 3 games, how different did the offense, in terms of what Marcus wanted to be able to do from an offensive standpoint, look those first couple of weeks in comparison to how you guys originally set up the offense going into training camp? And are we getting close to maybe seeing some of those wrinkles again?
I think so. I don't think – I wish I could tell you that when Luke got hurt that we had to trash everything, and that's why we struggled the first couple of weeks, but I can't. I'd be lying to you. It looked what we did with Zeb is really what we would be doing with Luke anyway. Certainly Luke is a little bit more of a weapon with his feet than Zeb and Jason and some of those guys are. Not to mean that they can't run, because they certainly can. I think anything, Mike, it's just the timing of everybody being out there. And we've had the continuity on the left side of the offensive line. For whatever reason, just hasn't been, or for different reasons, just hasn't been consistent at left guard, left tackle. The quarterback this week, unless something happens in the next few days, will be the first time this season we've started the same quarterback 3 games in a row. The running back position, Marshawn didn't get spring practice. Juju is a true freshman. Kevin was missed didn't get preseason camp because of his injury, and then was out with an illness for about a week and a half, leading up to the first game. So the first time Kevin really practiced was the East Carolina week. So, and I'm not making excuses. It's just the continuity and being sharp and efficient and executing just hasn't been all 11, including the coaches, what we want it to be. And I think we're still kind of figuring out, what we're not. I don't want to say what we're best at because we're 5 games into the season, but there are certain things that we're maybe maximizing a little bit more in our offense than we maybe anticipated going into the season, or maybe coming out of spring practice we felt a little bit better about running this particular scheme, and now we've kind of gotten into the season and realized that we're maybe not quite. We're better off running something else, So I understand there's a sense of urgency. We're about to be halfway through the season after Saturday, but I think it's just the continuity of all 11 guys being out there and everybody getting more and more confident each week.
What are your feelings about Ortre Smith entering the transfer portal? And it looks like the NCAA is going to allow teams to replace up to 7 transfers from the first term. How is that beneficial?
Being able to replace them is huge because, I used my situation or our situation last year when I came in and lost a lot of guys to the transfer portal, but you're sitting there with normally 25 initial scholarships, but we didn't have that because some of the young men in our program were signed last year and used before I got hired one of the 25 initials that I would have had. So I think I had something around 20 or 21 we had when I got hired, and there's only so much you can do with that. So then when you start taking people beyond that, now you're taking numbers from next year's recruiting class, the guys that are seniors in high school, and you're constantly just playing catch up, and you can never quite get it where you want it to be, because we went into the season with well under 85 scholarships of the guys that were recruited here as scholarship athletes. We were well under 85, which is why we were able to put Trey Atkins, Darrell Ware, and Matthew Bailey on scholarship. So I love it. I think it's great, and you don't want to lose anybody in the transfer portal, but you understand that's part of it. And in regards to Ortre, I hate to see him go. I do. I've known Ortre and his mom since 2016 when I was at Georgia, and we were recruiting him over there. And can remember him and his mom making visits to Athens and getting to know him. And I can remember going to Wando High School and visiting with Ortre and Jimmy Noonan when he was the head coach there. And just a fantastic young man, fantastic mom. I think the world of him. And it was a hard decision for Ortre to make that decision to leave. I have nothing but great things to say about him. I wish him nothing but luck. I told him that. We talked for a long time in my office. It was an emotional meeting because I love the kid. I didn't want to see him go, but I certainly understand that he has goals, and he's not a young guy anymore. He's towards the tail end of his career, and he wants to be somewhere where he can play a little bit more. And the receiver position that he's playing right now is where Josh Van and E.J. Jenkins are. And E.J. continues to come along and get better and better, and you're going to continue to see him play more and more. And then Josh Van's having a great year for us as well. And it's just hard to, crack that receiver rotation. And like I said, wish him well. And like I told him yesterday, if he needs me to call any school for him or any school wants to call me about Ortre, I'll have nothing but positive things to say about him.
Shane, we were talking to Luke and Jamar about this a little bit just a minute ago, but as far as like blocking out the noise and avoiding good, bad, indifferent, negative, positive, how much can guys actually avoid that given, social media, internet, whatever? And I guess as coaches, how do you guys kind of balance that when, that stuff is out there? And, I guess the example would be, when Jamar drops the ball last week, right? How much can you help guys avoid that stuff and talk them through that and, help them let that roll off their back or whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, great question. I think it's hard, obviously, because of social media, and these guys are 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old young men that are on social media and have families and friends and are going to class and walking through campus, and practice ends, and we hunker down as a staff in this building the rest of the day and late at night, and other than going home and seeing our families late at night, really we're not out and about. We're here as coaches, and our players don't have that. And the thing we do is just worry about what you can control, worry about whose opinions matter. The same people that are getting on our guys this week are the same ones that are going to be patting them on the back and telling them how great they are when they do something as well. So whose opinion matters. We talk about being a football family, and this football family and your family. Those are the opinions that matter. And frankly, when you're at a place like a South Carolina, when you're playing in the SEC, you were in the spotlight. And there's a lot of great things about being a head football coach in the SEC, but you also realize that the scrutiny is, to say the least, a little bit higher than it would be if I was coaching at wherever, that's not in the SEC. But I love that. I mean, you want that. You want to be at the highest level, and you got to understand the stuff that comes with it as well. And the players on this team and the football family, we know, like Jamar, for example, nobody feels worse about that play than Jamar. And let's not lose sight of the million other fantastic plays that he made on Saturday. The kid played his butt off on Saturday, and came into a tough situation with RJ getting kicked out, Jalen Dickerson being a little banged up, and he probably went in there not even thinking if he was going to play. And next thing you know, he's playing his tail off and makes an interception, or what he said was an interception over on the sideline, whether it was or wasn't. A great play, blocked a punt, and then just really, really played well. Like I told him, I know he feels bad about it. We're not okaying it. It's not okay. He knows that, but let's just coach it, correct it, and not lose sight of what else you did. And he's not going to let one play define him, and we're not going to let it define him for us either.
Shane, following up on that, a couple of weeks ago, Clayton told us that it was easier to get the players' attention after a loss, especially when it comes to correcting mistakes. When you have something that happened like Jamar's mistake that is getting so much national attention, does that help you get players' attention and say, okay, see what happens if you lose your focus here?
Yeah, it does. We try after every game, Rick, win or lose, to educate, and we always come in there on Sundays and we show, 10 to 15 plays of really good from the day before and really bad from the day before, because win or lose, there's always things that we can coach and correct and teach and learn from and celebrate, and we do that. Certainly, Jamar, the national attention, I'm sure he was sitting around last night and saw him on Monday Night Football, the come on man, and all that. And, he'll learn from it. But I think our players know that. And it's not so much you better do right or look what happens. It's more just educating and trying to hold them accountable. We're not okaying it and not holding guys accountable. We're holding them accountable for it, but also making sure our guys understand what a thin line it is between winning and losing, and those details and how it affects it. I mean, we were showing them a clip this morning. I don't know how many of you guys followed the Old Dominion Buffalo game a couple weeks ago, but Buffalo was beating Old Dominion 35-7, and Old Dominion came all the way back, scored a touchdown to make it 35-34 with like a minute left in the game. Old Dominion's excited. They celebrate. Some players come off the bench with their helmets off. They throw a flag on them. Now that extra point is now a 35-yard field goal or extra point that he missed. So after coming back, they lose the football game because the kicker missed the extra point because they got a celebration penalty. And just trying to constantly just educate our guys. And we do that all the time. I use the Old Dominion Buffalo as an example because we looked at it this morning. But just constantly educating our guys and understanding that we want to play smart football. That's one of our goals. And we've got to be better at it. And we were better against Kentucky from a penalty standpoint. And then even than we were against Georgia. And then even against Troy, we were better with the pre-snap stuff. We had a 12-minute in the huddle. That's just poor communication, players and coaches. We had a false start on offense. And then other than that, it was during the play or Zach Pickens' unnecessary roughness on the quarterback, So we don't want to beat ourselves, and we're constantly just emphasizing that to our guys. And I've got to continue to do a better job of it, and we got to continue to learn.
Shane, I know you guys are basically reached the midway point of the year. Where do you guys feel like you are from a conditioning standpoint on the defensive side of the ball, and how much are you guys just really anticipating the guys potentially being out there for 80, 90, however many plays Tennessee ends up trying to run?
Yeah. Well, if we can get our butts off the field on third down and be good on first and second down, we won't be out there for 80, 90 plays. So, I know what their goal is, and rightfully so. And our goal is to be good on first down, be good on second down, and then to get our rear ends off the field on third down, and then control the ball on offense and be able to score points as well. But I feel great about it from a conditioning standpoint. Our depth is still not where it needs to be. I mean, obviously we're down Rick Sandage on the defensive line. He would be playing. Sherrod Green being out, he would be playing. RJ being out for the first half this week, he would be playing. So depth-wise, we're not where we need to be. But conditioning-wise, I feel good. And credit Luke Day and his staff, credit Kristen and nutrition for that. I mean, we have GPS monitors on our guys during games, and we had 11 players Saturday against Kentucky that were the fastest they had been at any point since August 6th, the first day that we started practice. So we take the same guys, they wear GPS monitors during practice, every single practice. So Saturday against Troy, 11 of our players, and I'm not just talking skill guys, D linemen too. Tonka Hemingway was one of them. MJ Webb was one of them. Were faster on Saturday than at any point through any practice since August 6th. That's pretty dang impressive, And the week before, I think we had 7 guys that hit top speeds. Josh Van was the fastest he had been since August 6th against who do we play? Georgia, and then the very next week, he was even faster against Kentucky, So we're continuing to get faster and faster and faster and get stronger as the year goes on. So I feel good about it right now. Now, if Tennessee is able to run 100-plus plays on Saturday, you can ask me again next Tuesday if I feel the same way. But not conditioning-wise, we're in great shape, and credit our strength and conditioning program for that.
Coach, a lot of the players use the words detailed, getting the eyes in the right spot. How much of it also is a comfort level playing together? Because you talk about continuity. So being able to execute on offense, how much does that all go together? Comfort playing with the same guys and making sure you're getting your eyes in the right spot, knowing where you are, just that sense of comfort. How much will that help?
Yeah, no, very much so. There is that comfort level. There's no question. I mean, you look around college football, some of the better teams right now are the older teams that have played a lot of football together and got a lot of seniors on their team and a lot of continuity. So there's no doubt about it. And that's what we're continuing to try and do offensively, whether it be at the quarterback position with the other 10 guys around him, whether it be at the left guard and left tackle position with the other 9, 10 guys around them. So absolutely, the more and more reps you have with those guys, the better and more confident you're going to be and more detailed you're going to be.
Hey, Coach, so you guys rank at the top of the SEC in takeaways and interceptions defensively. Without giving too much away, what are some of the secrets to that unit's success with getting turnovers? And then also, the defense responded very well after Jamar's play on Saturday. How proud of you were you of them that they were able to do that?
Yeah, very much so. Our Clayton White and the defensive staff, they talk all the time, like defensive mantra is just put the ball down. Like, we don't care, just put the ball down and let's go play. And I was so proud of that you feel like you've taken control of the game, the crowd's going crazy, we're celebrating, and then it gets taken away from you, and then they just jogged right back out there on the field like nothing had happened, and went back out there and just continued to compete. So I love that. I was so proud of them. And told them that on Sunday in the team meeting. I thought that was an awesome, other than the fumble, an awesome series of events and how we responded. And then I think the biggest thing is, or it's a lot, one, we practice it. We talk about taking the ball away and creating turnovers in every single drill that we do. We have drills like a lot of teams do to emphasize taking the ball away and creating turnovers. Ball security on the other hand for the offense. It goes both ways, and we work together doing that. And it's our guys playing really, really hard. Typically, when you play really, really hard and you fly to the ball and you compete and you give great effort, turnovers are going to happen because you're going to be in position to make plays. And, I think certainly the length of some of our defensive linemen help as well when JJ and Jordan and Aaron and our defensive lineman Pickens are able to get their hands up and affect throws. That certainly you've seen a lot of balls get batted this year, and that helps. And then I think the scheme as well, guys buying into it and believing in what we're doing. Coach White and his staff putting our guys in position to make plays, and defensively the defensive backs recognizing formations and anticipating routes and being great mentally during the week. So when you get out there on Saturday, you're able to play with confidence and go execute. And David's had his hand up, Steve. Come on, man.
Shane,
Get the
Kevin
first
was
and last.
Kevin was in here earlier telling us he's feeling a little bit better. You guys are giving him a few more plays he likes to run, that kind of thing. How close is he to being the runner that we saw last year? Is he getting close to breaking out?
Yeah, I hope so. I think we're continuing to get better on the offensive line. Continuing to get Kevin to that point, for sure. And I'm very confident from that standpoint. He had some nice runs the other day. He looked physical. He had some physical finishes. And feel good about all those backs. Him, Juju, Marshawn, Zaquandre, all that whole group. I feel like it's continuing to get better. And you hope that breakout game is coming. You saw it with Tennessee and what they did to Missouri Saturday, and hopefully we can have one of those games here at some point soon too.
You mentioned E.J. Jenkins playing more for you guys, obviously caught his first touchdown, and he was talking with us just about learning the tight end position, balancing that with the receiver. Just what have you seen from him as far as his growth these last few weeks that make you want to play him more, and what kind of role could he play for this offense?
Yeah. What did he tell you he was, a receiver or a tight end?
Both.
Good answer. I've seen him practice really, really, really well. I think everybody's a competitor, and I think he was certainly disappointed with how much he was playing early in the season. So we flat out told him, you want to play more, practice better, and practice with more sense of urgency, and practice with more physicality, and practice with more speed and intensity. And he did. And there's a reason that he was able to take the steps that he did and make those plays. It's because of how he practiced, and he continues to get better and better and more confident. I mean, he made a play. I'd love to show you all the video. I mean, it's one of the most amazing catches I've ever seen in my life. Last Thursday, we do on Thursdays in the indoor, we do 2-minute offense versus defense, and he made one of the most remarkable catches I've ever seen. To the point where you don't even realize he caught the ball. It was a play coming across the middle, and he caught the ball for a touchdown, and still don't understand how he caught it. But he's just got such a huge wingspan and body, and he's gaining more and more confidence because he's got more confidence in what we're doing offensively. He's practicing faster, and then he's making plays. And proud of him. And we talk about it with our guys all the time. Like, we're still early in the season in a lot of ways, and we're competing. Like, we got 11 guys that'll start the game on Saturday, 11 on offense, 11 on defense, and then all the special teams units. But there's like no position that we sit there and say he is the starter right now, and we guarantee he's going to be the starter when we play Clemson at the end of the season. Like, we are competing every single day in practice, and we talked about it in our team meeting. Like, if you want to play, make it so hard for your coach that he can't not play you. And that's what EJ did in practice the last couple of weeks, and his upside will continue to grow for sure. You're welcome, David.
Shane, with RJ out the first half, who's going to start at that spot?
We'll continue to work it, just like we were just talking about in practice and competition, David. We'll compete during practice this week. Come on, man. That's a layup. We'll continue to compete in practice, but with Jalen Dickerson and Jamar Brown and Jalen Foster back there, there's a multiple group of guys that we have confidence in, and all those guys were out there today, and we'll see who continues to practice well and get those guys out there. But we'll need to be able to, with as fast as they play and the formations and the way they keep coming at you, like every other position, we've been rotating multiple defensive backs at different spots. We've got to be able to rotate some different guys through there, most likely too. Good. All right. Thank you. Y'all have a great week.